So I have a funny story. I have a teacup Yorkie named Freddy. Now, Freddy's my buddy, right? Good friends. It wasn't always like that. So when we first got Freddy, I was the one that trained him. Yeah, I yelled a lot. And before anybody calls the pet police, let me explain. I wasn't abusing Freddy. I was just trying to correct him. Okay, if he got into something he shouldn't, I raised my voice. If he wouldn't listen to me, I raised my voice. Okay, if he didn't come when I called, guess what I did? I raised my voice. In my mind, I was training him and I was training him good. But one day I noticed something that bothered me, right? Whenever people came to the house, Freddy would haul to the door, his little tail just wagging and, 100 miles an hour. He couldn't wait to see him sniff their feet and all of that. And then I come home from work and he peek around the corner and be like, oh, it's you. No tail wagging. And he like scoff at me, like cut his eyes. And I was like, oh, what is that? Here's the crazy part. I'm buying his food. I'm taking him outside so that this big old hawk in the neighborhood doesn't come and take him and make him lunch. And he didn't care. I wasn't the person he was excited to see. And it got my attention. So I started asking myself, why is this? Then it hit me. Freddy wasn't responding to my intentions. He was responding to my experience. He was experiencing me in a different way. So, I intended to train him. He just saw me as the dude that yelled. I was trying to protect him. He just saw me as this harsh, mean guy. And so that's it. It made me take a step back. And if I'm honest, look at myself under a different lens. And it was a hard realization because I had a choice. I could keep blaming the dog. I keep yelling at the dog, or I could look in the mirror, decide to change, stop yelling. I was still firm. Okay, let me keep it honest with you. But I wasn't loud anymore. I did something else. I changed the environment. Instead of taking Freddy in the backyard where I was always yelling at him, I started taking him to the front yard. I let him smell everything. I call him, I let him check his puppy emails. So every dog in the neighborhood that walks by, they leave messages and he goes out and leaves his messages. I mean, he's this big and he has a 12-gallon bladder, obviously, because he's hitting every blade of grass, right? But I did something else in that moment. I loved on him. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Freddy, come here. Okay. And I know you're thinking, didn't this dude serve in the Army? I did. Combat veteran, highly decorated. But I was talking to that 6-pound Yorkie like he was my kid. Why? Life gets funny sometimes. What ended up happening was everything changed, right? Everything. So now when I come home, Freddy's coming to the door and he's wagging his tail 1,000 miles an hour to see me. I even take him on rides with me. And that's a story for another day. Me, big macho guy right here. And I got this little teacup Yorkie, but we cool. Story for another day. Freddy didn't hold up a mirror because he was a dog. That interaction held up a mirror. And I look at it like this. Every relationship that we have reflects something back to us. And if it can happen in a dog, it can happen in our relationships.